Today we're going to draw a cute little happy penguin face. I'm going to start off by sketching with pencil as always. You want to try to sketch thinking about what you want to draw as a collection of simple shapes. So I'm using just an oval for the head, sort of a bubbly U shape for the accent of white on there. I'm going to put in a triangle for the beak, give it a smile, simple lines for closed eyes, and just a simple sort of triangular hat. The next step, I'm going to use a Sharpie to outline all the important lines in the drawing. It's important to use a permanent marker like a Sharpie rather than a washable marker like a Crayola, because when the paper gets wet, you don't want the ink to smear. You don't want the ink to be diluted and spreading into the paint as a washable marker would. A Sharpie won't, but a Crayola would. Now that I've outlined in Sharpie, I can just erase all the pencil lines and I can get rid of the stuff that I didn't want to keep from my sketch, while all the Sharpie will obviously remain. And finally, I'm ready to paint. I'm going to be using watercolor paints for this project. And with watercolors, I want to be paying attention to two things. I want to first of all, make sure that I'm being gentle with the paintbrush. Some students try to scoop the pigment out of their paint sets. I promise there is no gold buried at the bottom of your paint set. There is no reason to rip it up and try to drill down to the bottom of that paint set. Painting with the tip of the brush, I have better control over where the paint's going. If I'm pressing too hard with the brush, it's going to cause the bristles to sort of splay out and you get streaks around the edges. You have less control over where the paint's going. The other thing you really want to pay attention to is how the water is affecting the paint. The water is diluting the pigment. The pigment is the colored stuff in your paint set, and the water dilutes it or thins it out so it can spread across the paper. The more water that you're using, the more pale the colors are going to look. The less water you have on your brush, the less water you have mixed into your paint, the brighter, bolder, more saturated the colors will be. So you want to pay attention to that. The one thing you want to be careful about is if your paint gets too thick, the paint will be really gooey and it'll sort of sit on top of the paper instead of soaking into it, and you can have sticky, gooey paint even after the paint is dried. So you want to make sure that you're getting bright, bold colors but not overly thick. You can also use a subtractive method, taking away some of the paint, as I did on the cheeks. While the paint was wet, I used a paper towel to soak up some of the paint. Being careful not to smear it, just went straight down, straight up to dab at it. You can use an additive method, layering one color on top of another to blend them. So just have fun with it, experiment, and see what gives you the results that you want.